Oh, it was certainly a incredibly sad time when we found out last night. Guys who are close to him that are in Dubai with him. Um, yeah, it's my gosh, it's a real shock. I guess I was only talking to Jonesy last week, and the more I think about it overnight, probably summed him up. He was so passionate about Australian cricket. He was so passionate about the game of cricket. Full stop. And we were talking about how we can do things better. One thing about Dean Jones is there's not that many players who really revolutionised the game. You think about maybe Warne, you think about Adam Gilchrist, and Dean Jones with one-day cricket, the way he's running between the wickets, his athleticism, the way he took on the game. They're my memories of Dino. And of course, his 200 in Madras. It's almost part of legend in Australian Test cricket, in the brotherhood of the baggy green. It's his 200 in Madras and the way he batted with AB. Stuff of legend. Yeah, no, I wouldn't say he became more of a fatherly figure down the track. At the time, he was like, because we were watching him in that period leading into our our first class debuts, and he was just, whoa. He was something else, wasn't he? Because of his energy and his strut and the way he took on taking on Ambrose, or the way he took it on. So then when we played against him, he was like often happens with the young players, he's like our hero, and we're going, well, what do we expect here? And he was a competitor. He was intimidating. He was tough. So, but over time, as I mentioned in that first time at the MCG, when he gave us that advice about always score 100, you could tell he was passionate about the game. He was passionate about helping people. He's helped me as the Australian coach over the last few years. In fact, it was only, as you know, we've had Steve Waugh and Ricky Ponting. We've had Mike Hussey. It was only recently that I was talking about, a few weeks ago, I was talking about getting Dino in to help us with our T20 World Cup stuff as one of those mentor coaches. So sadly, that's not going to happen. But the things I've learned from him, and that the legacy he leaves to Australian cricket and Australian cricketers won't be lost on us. Yeah, I spoke to Binger last night. Again, one of our little brothers, my gosh, there's not a more popular or nicer bloke than Brett Lee. So I can't imagine what he's been through overnight. Having spoke to him last night, or certainly through text, I can't imagine. I honestly can't imagine. My best mate died 2 or 3 years ago from a sudden heart attack, and the great shock to the people down there who were with him at the time. And when it's one of his mates who had been working with, one of his colleagues, one of his mates, I can't imagine what Binger's been going through. So, our heart goes out not just to him, but obviously to Dino's family as well. I mean, it's a shocking time. Yeah, well, that's what the mentors do. That's why I love to bring them in. They have strong opinions. You don't bring someone in who doesn't have a view. I mean, Steve Waugh, Ricky Ponting, Mike Hussey, with the way he played both Test and one day cricket, white ball cricket, particularly with Huss when he came in. And we keep talking about it in the Australian cricket team. We talk about who's going to be our next Dean Jones, who's going to be our next Michael Bevan, who's going to be our next Michael Hussey, who's going to be the next, who's going to be the Dhoni for us, who's going to be the Joss Butler for us. And Dean Jones is one of those people. So, he could have brought so much to us. Look, as a legend. Oh, Dino, like I say, he was bigger than life. He was, I think in the end of the day, that word legend, Dino legend, he was, that's how he'd love it. I think he'd love to be remembered as someone who was passionate about the game of cricket, passionate about not just Australian cricket, but just the game of cricket. And my gosh, I love that. He loved it. He was bigger than life. I think the word legend, Roz, that sums up Dino. He probably called himself the Ledge. We all called him the Ledge. I think legend probably sums up Dean Jones, and that's how he'd like to be remembered.